Good morning and welcome to the show. I'm Bear of Bear Independent. As you're probably aware, if you're new here, please consider subscribing and ringing the little bell icon for notifications. If you're not new here, you know what to do. Share the show with somebody you love and make sure you're still subscribed. If you're not, resubscribe. YouTube algorithm has been unsubscribing a lot of people. Of course, the show is brought to you by Refuge Medical, of whom I am the founder and CEO of this company. And we will talk more about Refuge Medical later in the show. It is the 8th of May, 2023. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence today. We're going to talk about possibly deep fakes, the great delusion, smartphones, dumb phones, alternate commo, geofencing. We're also going to talk about the mass casualty incident in Allen, Texas, and perhaps a couple of other things. Bear Independent Brief, 8 May 23. Having undergone multiple revolutions, such as the agricultural revolution and industrial revolution, society is facing the biggest wave so far in the latest revolution, a technological revolution. And that wave is artificial intelligence. Even with the makers of the technology having been surprised by the rapidity of its development, there are concerns that it may all be too much too soon, and with too few guardrails protecting against exploitation. The way it will change vast swaths of processes, and fundamentally alter the working of every economic sector has both lay people and experts alike concerned about the potential upheaval that could be unleashed. Yesha Sivan told DW News, quote, "Whether you want to call it an engineering achievement or general intelligence, this technology is the most interesting technology that has come out in the last 100 years. It's bigger than the internet, bigger than mobile phones. It's at the level of the printing press and the invention of the wheel. The speed of innovation here is unbelievable because everything is software." End quote. He called for regulation from the U.S. government before damage was done, to set up frameworks to push it in the right direction. That's a quote. I don't think government regulation would be effective, although I can understand the concern. The government, not so great at anything, really, if we're being perfectly honest, anything anymore, let alone regulating the use of something like artificial intelligence. If anything, my guess is what they would do is regulate the commercial application of it while using it to subject their people to their will. Other tech experts don't see the point. Quote, "Unfortunately, and with all due respect, POTUS, President of the United States of America, these are not the people who can tell us what is most needed to protect society when it comes to AI," end quote. Tweeted AI ethics researcher Elizabeth Renarius from the University of Oxford. Last Thursday, President Biden and Vice President Harris, I get a mental image of both of those people in my head every time I say their name, and it's not a good one. Last Thursday, President Biden and Vice President Harris met with the CEOs of Google, Microsoft, OpenAI, and Anthropic. All of those tech companies have kept mum when questioned by journalists about the meeting. Anthropic issued a statement that read, quote, "We were honored to meet today with the Vice President Kamala Harris and other cabinet members and look forward to continuing the conversation around how to build and deploy safer and more trustworthy AI systems," end quote. The statement from the White House was a little less cryptic, saying that the meeting, quote, "included frank and constructive discussion on three key areas: the need for companies to be more transparent with policymakers, the public, and others about AI systems, the importance of being able to evaluate, verify, and validate the safety, security, and efficacy of AI systems, and the need to ensure AI systems are secure from malicious actors and attacks." Notice the threes. This is Diplo Speak 101 here. So there's 3 sets of 3. Sorry, it's just the thing that sticks out to me in the syntax. This is usually how I can tell that this is a prepared statement and a politician is speaking, when it's there are 3s. Included frank and constructive discussion on 3 key areas. The need for companies to be more transparent with, here's 1, policymakers, 2, the public, and others, 3, about their AI systems. That's 3. And who are others? Policymakers, public, and others. Who are the others? The importance of being able to evaluate, 1, verify, 2, and validate. There's 3. The safety, 1, security, 2, and efficacy, 3, of AI systems. See the pattern here? It's a pattern of speech, and it's always something that kind of perks my eardrums up a little bit, like, 100% a prepared statement, 100% talking points, 100% Diplo speak. And the need to ensure AI systems are secure from malicious actors and attacks. An open letter called for a pause on all AI development back in March. The letter was signed by dozens of notable tech experts, including Elon Musk. At this point, that's a very unlikely possibility, as this has really become something like an arms race between nations to develop AI. In the words of Geoffrey Hinton, referred to as the godfather of AI, quote, "Even if everybody in the US stopped developing it, China would just get a big lead," end quote. One of the 5 movies I've seen in my entire life is Terminator 2. And yes, I've seen the original Terminator, so it's probably more like 10 movies I've seen in my entire life. And is it predictive programming? Is it life imitating art? I don't know, but the concept of sentient robots that have arms, and I don't mean like appendages attached to their shoulder, I mean like weapons. Not terribly encouraging to me. Like, with all the things we got to worry about, tyranny and financial collapse and starvation and famine and plague and natural disaster, and let's just add, and war, let's just add T-1000s to the list. Like, negative. I would really prefer to not have weaponized robots. That being said, Raytheon's Sarcos suit, SARCOS, Google that thing. They've been working on that for a hot minute. Part of the, I think it was the DARPA Super Soldier program. It's essentially an exoskeleton that one steps into, that battery pack on the back, and allows you to lift incredibly heavy things and walk for, or run, or ruck for an incredibly long distance, and carry weapons on the suit, like, a Mark 48, 240 Bravo belt-fed machine gun, and grenade launcher on the suit, that a standard soldier couldn't carry those things around, plus all the ammunition to feed those systems. And, like, that thing's real. They have developed, Raytheon has developed, last I heard, and what I heard versus what they have now are probably worlds apart as far as the advancements that they've made that have not been publicly disseminated. Last I heard, when the soldier steps outside of the suit with his M4 or his M5 now, the suit then becomes semi-autonomous, and the soldier is looking through an optic mounted to his helmet, and whatever the soldier targets, the suit also targets. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. As a kid who grew up playing MechWarrior on PC, it's both super cool and super frightening to me. Now you add in artificial intelligence to that thing, that platform, that Sarcos suit already exists. You add AI to that, we now have Terminators. And it begs the question, what if they, the big they, decide to use them against us? Possible? Yes. Plausible? Likely? Currently no, but not necessarily impossible. I've lost 0 minutes of sleep over it, but it's certainly interesting to ponder. Regardless of how humans choose to handle this new development, it's here now, and it is developing rapidly. Every new technology brings with it a new path to exploitation for evil purposes. Just as social technologies have opened the door from ransomware and other nefarious exploitation, so too the possibilities that artificial intelligence bring with it could be quite significant for all of us. Now, one of the things that I wonder about with this AI is the increasing possibility and therefore likelihood of deep fakes. My primary concern with deep fakes, being perfectly honest, is for individuals being co-opted. For example, there's plenty of video of me. There's 5,000 videos between YouTube and Patreon of me. You know what my face looks like. You know what my voice looks like. And I'm not saying that I would be targeted with this, but I'm using me to illustrate the example here. It is well within the realm of possibility for somebody to take me, my face, my voice, and make a video of me saying or appearing to say all types of terrible things. And that would be a deep fake. And I'm a nobody with very little influence. Now do that with the President of the United States of America, or Putin, or Zelensky, and there's a lot of people that argue that a lot of what you see of Biden these days are deep fakes. And there's some fairly compelling video out there. You know, the one where he's standing on the lawn not far from the helicopter, and there's a line of black SUVs behind him, and the microphone from the reporter keeps fading behind him instead of in front of him. Yeah, there's a lot of that out there. And so as AI gets better and better, the ability for it to be used to replicate individuals and make them say things they never said is going to get better and better. Now, a lot of people have postulated that deep fakes in AI will be used to create the great delusion as described in the Bible. I disagree, because I think it's a fundamental misunderstanding of what the great delusion is. And I would encourage you to read 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 in the New Testament. The great delusion is related to lawlessness. It's not a holographic image. It's bad doctrine, bad teaching. So 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 in the New Testament. Go read that one. That explicitly talks about the great delusion and those who have been given over to the great delusion because they did not receive the love of the truth by which they should be saved. It also, I think there will come a point societally in the relatively near future where these Babylonian rectangles of death, as my brother Saul likes to call them, will become less permissive for good people, people like us. So much so that I'm actually doing research on dumb phones. The smartphone and all the technology that it can bring to bear that can be used against us is something I'm losing appreciation for more and more every day. We know during the GWAT a super easy way to put warheads on foreheads is to give a cell phone to somebody that you've co-opted as an informant. And once that informant has run their span of usefulness, they're super easy to target because they have that cell phone in their pocket. And if we've been capable of doing that for the last 20 years elsewhere, I have no doubt in my mind that we're super capable of doing that now with these right now. To say nothing of all the data that we give away to these big companies every moment of every day with these phones. So I personally am looking into dumb phones. I would also think as part of your commo plan, you should have some burners. Yes, your commo plan. Commo is more than I have a radio. Oh, look, it's a radio. That's not commo. It's part of commo, but it's not commo. So dumb phones and burners, check for commo plan. Also remember with the whole J6 thing, how did they know who was there? Geofencing. And this is not a radical new technology. This is something that the people with the big ears have had the ability to do for a very long time. Geofencing. Every phone, including this one, including the one I'm talking to you on, including the one in your pocket, has a unique number. If it's a Mac or an Android, an SSID, I think it's called a Mac number on a Mac phone. I forget, but my point is, just like you have a unique social security number by which you can be tracked, your phone has the same thing, a unique SSID number. And there are programs, including open source programs, that allow you to track on a map in real time any SSID number. You can see every network that they connect to. You see where they are. There's that technology exists right now. And so make no mistake, it's very easy to track a human being via their cell phone. So all these things, deep fakes and the Great Delusion and dumb phones, burners, alternate commo, geofencing is only going to be exacerbated by artificial intelligence. And so I think that makes the window of viability for these devices for us shorter than one might think. And so as part of your commo plan, day-to-day and SHTF, I would encourage you to start thinking about alternatives. Low-tech alternatives. Because the environment is becoming less permissible by the day. There's a couple other things I want to look at today. We are in week 5 of our 50 weeks of preparedness. We're going to be talking about medical this week. I had intended to talk about medical kits, not from a promotional standpoint, but from a practical standpoint on Wednesday. But given the news coming out of McAllen, Texas, we're going to talk about that today. I want to read you an article from The Blaze and point out some key metrics within this article. First, with the mindset that the vast majority of people who are traipsing through life blissfully unaware do not realize the need for medical and trauma medicine 24/7, 365. Trauma medicine, the cornerstone of which is massive uncontrolled hemorrhage, right? Massive bleeding. And most people don't think that that's a problem that they're going to have to deal with. Statistically, the most dangerous thing Americans do is drive. And statistically, the number one cause of preventable death in the United States, it's not diabetes, it's not Charlie Victor 19er, it's uncontrolled bleeding. 88 to 90% of preventable deaths are uncontrolled bleeding, whether that's a motor vehicle accident or a gunshot wound or a workplace accident or whatever. And so to this article from The Blaze, people were shopping at the Allen Outlet Mall in North Texas. I am intimately familiar with the Allen Outlet Mall. At one point in my life, my wife and I had the maintenance contract for the Allen Outlets. I know that place really well. And I was fairly heartbroken when I found out about this yesterday because I still maintain relationships with some of the people who work there. A frantic father rushed to Allen Premium Outlets on Saturday after his son informed him that there was a shooting at the mall in Texas. However, nothing would prepare the concerned dad for what he would encounter next. Stephen Spainhauer, a former police officer and former Army officer, received a call from his son on Saturday. His son, who works at the H&M store at the Allen Premium Outlets, told Spainhauer that there was an active shooting situation. He said that he couldn't contact 911 because the phone lines were busy. First thing, commo plan. Couldn't call 911 because the phone lines were busy. This is one of the things we drill and responder to at refuge training. Spainhauer instructed his son to shelter in place and to not open the door. Spainhauer then raced to the outlet mall, which took him approximately 6 minutes. Now, that's an excellent response time. On an arterial bleed, you have approximately 90 seconds to 2 minutes before you lose 50% of your blood loss. At 50% approximately of your blood loss, a couple of critical things happen. The first is you begin to enter what is called irreversible hypovolemic shock, meaning that at this point, if we stop the blood flow, get you onto an ambulance or onto a helicopter and immediately into surgery, you have a 50-50 chance of survival at that point. It also begins at that point, irreversible hypovolemic shock is where you begin to have to deal with the lethal triad, which is hypothermia, acidosis, and blood loss. It's bad. So that's 50% volume in 2 minutes from arterial bleeding. The second is you'll pass out. And if you pass out, you lose consciousness, there's a 100% chance you're not going to be able to render aid. So Spainhauer races to the outlet mall. He gets there in 6 minutes. It's an excellent response time. But you have about 2 minutes to fix a critical bleed before things get really, really bad. That illustrates the point that there should be trauma medicine kits everywhere, on your person, in your pocket, in your purse, in your backpack, in every store, in every school, everywhere. Just like we've learned that we need fire extinguishers everywhere, because the response time from the fire department, even if it's incredibly good, and the time it takes for you to alert law enforcement, fire, and EMS, to the time that they respond, that blaze can get seriously out of control, right? It's the same thing with bleeding. Have a kit. Please have a kit. I have a kit in my pocket. This one, slick kit, in my pocket, coupled with a tourniquet. I got chest seals, I got gloves, I got a flat emergency trauma dressing, combat gauze, and duct tape. Also, this plastic can be used for improvised chest seals. Couple this with a tourniquet. I have a blowout kit in my pocket. It's that wide, dude. It's the width of my hand. Okay? In my pocket. Because 6 minutes, even though that's an excellent response time by Spainhauer, is too long. Now check this out. Spainhauer then raced to the outlet mall, which took him approximately 6 minutes. He was surprised to see that no police or EMTs were at the site of the shooting. Typically speaking, and this is me taking nothing against our brothers and sisters in the blue, they do not get there in time to deal with the casualties. And when they do, and this is critically important, we go over this in Responder 2 and more so in Responder 3 from Refuge Training. The law enforcement officer's job is to eliminate the threat, not to render aid. They have to eliminate the threat first before they can render aid. And any law enforcement officer will tell you that. Now, there's some joint task forces in certain jurisdictions where as the law enforcement clears an area, EMS and fire can sweep in behind them and begin to triage and render aid. But even then, they have to clear an area first before they can begin to render aid. So oftentimes people have this paradigm that everything will be okay once the cops get here. The law enforcement officer's job is to deal with the threat, not to treat the casualties. So again, if you don't have the equipment on you to save a life, possibly your own, it doesn't matter if the cops have gotten there. Depending on the degree, the severity of the injury, you can still bleed out and die. Spainhauer told KHOU, "I never imagined in 100 years I would be thrust into the position of being the first responder on site to take care of people." How many people, probably thousands of people, were already there on site? Had any of those people had the equipment and training necessary to deal with this issue, lives could have been saved. Now, the shooter is a scumbag. He's a piece of shit. And there will be more and more incidents like this, I believe, leading up to the election to try and get one political party in this country is trying to get a public mandate from their constituency to move on assault weapons. This is not a coincidence. These are bad actors. This is intentional. This is being done intentionally to shift the Overton window of what is acceptable here in the United States of America. And that is because the government does not have your best interests at heart. And one of the only things that's keeping them from going full-blown tyrannical is that they do not have a monopoly on the use of force. They cannot get a monopoly on the use of force. I'm a staunch Second Amendment advocate. Staunch. And I would advise all of you who are Second Amendment advocates to understand exactly what that means. Exactly what that means. And think of the implications there. The government doesn't get to have a monopoly on force because once they do, they will become a dictatorship. And once they're a dictatorship, they now literally get to decide who lives and who dies. And that is way too much authoritarian power for any government to have. And history is our witness on that. Back to the article from Spainhauer, quote, I found 7 people shot in front of the store, Spainhauer told MSNBC. He called 911 and told them we have a mass casualty incident. The first girl I walked up to was crouched down covering her head in the bushes, so I felt for a pulse, pulled her head to the side, and she had no face, he explained. Speaking about the third victim he attempted to help, I started chest compressions on him. He spit up blood, and then he just looked at me and expired in front of me. Chest compressions is a good effort. We teach in Responder 2 the statistics on CPR that is attempted in a trauma medicine environment. It doesn't work. You have to deal with bleeding first. If he spit up blood, he probably had internal injuries, probably injuries to the pleural space, the box in between your neck and your navel. CPR doesn't work in a trauma setting, and it takes a lot of time, and it ties up first responders. But he was trying. He was doing what he knew how to do in the moment, right? The others were too far gone, he said. Spainhauer found a child who survived the mass shooting by being protected by his deceased mother. He said, so when I rolled the mother over, he came out and I asked him, are you okay? And the boy said, my mom is hurt. My mom is hurt. So rather than traumatize him anymore, I pulled him around the corner and sat him down, Spainhauer recalled. He was covered from head to toe like somebody poured blood on him. No one can see what they saw today and not be affected by it. It's not a situation that I would wish upon anybody. It's just unfathomable to see the carnage, he said. It's tough when you see a family that's out shopping, having fun, and then get wiped off the face of the earth because somebody with a gun has some type of issue, Spainhauer declared. 8 people were shot and killed at the Allen Premium Outlets, located about 25 miles north of Dallas. There are at least 7 others injured from the mass shooting. Authorities have yet to release the name of the shooter. WFAA reported that the suspect is in his 30s and lived with his parents in Dallas. The outlet noted that the FBI questioned the family at their Dallas home, adding that investigators have also asked for a translator. Have also asked for a translator. I wonder exactly what's going on here. Please carry some type of med kit on you, even if it's a tiny one, in your pocket. Please. Would I prefer it's one of ours? Yes, because they're the best in the world. But anything. Piece something together from what you have in storage at home. Something. Gauze tape, gloves, disinfectant, tourniquet. The world is going to become less reliable, less stable. People will continue to act out, especially leading up to this 2024 presidential election. And good people can die. I don't want that. We've built a company around equipping and empowering people like you. So you don't have to go through that. You don't have to feel that. You don't have to feel like I could have done something, but I didn't. So, week 5 of 50 weeks of preparedness, medical, IFAKs, individual first aid kits, and kits appropriately stationed and appropriately equipped everywhere. Please and thank you. From the bottom of my heart, please, please have a first aid kit. Please have a firearm and know how to use it. And keep your head on a swivel, because this empire is burning. And I do not want you to burn with it. From RT. U.S. launches new Ministry of Truth. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence has set up a body to counter foreign disinformation. And the Easter egg, the gold nugget, is in the first paragraph of this article. The U.S. has established a Foreign Malign Influence Center to address foreign threats to elections as well as the public opinion within the country. Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines revealed in a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing on Thursday. The U.S. has established a Foreign Malign Influence Center to address foreign threats to elections as well as the public opinion. That's you and me, boys and girls. Operating under the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the FMIC has access to, quote, all intelligence possessed or created pertaining to foreign malign information, including election security, end quote. Its director, Jeffrey Wickman, was formerly Chief of Analysis for the CIA's Counterintelligence Mission Center. For the agency's purposes, foreign means originating in Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, or any other foreign country that the director of the center deems appropriate, while foreign malign influence is defined as, quote, any hostile effort undertaken by, or at the direction of, or on behalf of, there's the three again, or with the substantial support of one of the named countries in order to influence covertly or overtly U.S. government or state policy, or the public opinion within the United States. Public opinion within the United States. So, that's a hole big enough to drive a bus through. That means basically anything. Basically anything digitally. Getting back to alternate commo and dumb phones. While the FMIC was apparently founded in September at the behest of recent legislation, Thursday's hearing was the first public mention of its existence. Its establishment was controversial, as some senators and intelligence officers questioned the need for another agency with the same remit as the Global Engagement Center, the State Department subsidiary tasked with disseminating American propaganda to fight the foreign variety. Haines addressed some of those concerns in Thursday's hearing, insisting that the FMIC was working to, quote, support the Global Engagement Center and others throughout the U.S. government in helping them to understand what are the plans and intentions of key actors in this space: China, Russia, Iran, etc., Iran, etc. Countering foreign disinformation has become something of an obsession for government bureaucrats since the 2016 election of Donald Trump, with half a dozen agencies springing up since then. In addition to the GEC, launched in 2017, the Pentagon quietly launched an Influence and Perception Management Office last year, joining the Department of Homeland Security's Foreign Influence and Interference Branch, Countering Foreign Influence Task Force, and the ill-fated Disinformation Governance Board, as well as the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force. They seem a little concerned. These are free and fair elections. However, Pentagon contractor RAND Corporation recently acknowledged Russia's role is probably overstated. The think tank warned in a study conducted last year that blaming Moscow for all information Washington doesn't like is likely to backfire, urging the Defense Department to reduce, quote, over-attribution of disinformation on social media to Russia, pointing the finger at Russia in every instance of activity on social media resembling Russian interference distorts the understanding of the threat, end quote. So we have another disinformation board, and its purpose is to address foreign threats to elections as well as the public opinion within the country. Stay frosty, Bear Nation. That is the brief for today. If you're one of those people that jumps off when it's time to talk about how to support the show, this is your polite invitation to beat feet, skedaddle, get out of here. Have a blessed day. Shalom. For everybody else, we are going to talk about how to support the show. Links in the description. And when I say support the show, this is a value exchange. If you find value in what we do, this is a way to exchange in value. Patreon. Links in the description for all this stuff. This morning we discussed peace under chaos. How to prepare your family and your home for what is coming. Had that conversation with myself and my wife. Patreon's $5 per month. It's the best $5 you can spend on the internet per month. You can also sign up on a yearly subscription and save, I think it's 2 months worth. You get 2 months free if you sign up for the year. So check that out. Refuge Medical. Refuge Medical is one of my companies. We make the best first aid kits on the market to equip and empower the best people on the face of the planet, y'all, the Bear Nation. So that when tragedy strikes, whether it's a motor vehicle accident or an accident in the home or a workplace accident or an active shooter or the world has gone to hell in a handbasket, we got you covered. Our kits have saved 73 lives to date that we know of. I started this company because I could not find a good first aid kit, one that did everything that I wanted it to do. And so I started patterning this. This is the Bearfac. This one is in Origin Camo. Although they are also available in red with reflective striping and gray and black and coyote tan and ranger green and a slew of other colors. I patterned that thing out of a cut-up pizza box. I took that pattern to our brother Cody at Sojourn Gear. I said, hey, can you make this? He said, yeah. And the rest is history. Here we are. It's an honor to me that our kits are on 4 continents electively with all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. They have everything you need and nothing you don't to deal with trauma medicine, massive bleeding, airway and respiratory issues, circulation injuries, head injury, hypothermia, and everything else. They're purpose-built. It's not a good idea kit. It has everything you need and nothing you don't. They actually exceed military specification for an individual first aid kit. That's intentional. Because knowing what was in a military individual first aid kit, I thought it was inadequate. So I made my own. Another potential option for y'all, slightly more affordable, is the bare minimum. It says a Cat Gen 7 tourniquet on the outside, which this thing works. 19,000 reps, 19,000 applications in the global war on terror, and that tourniquet works. Shears on the outside, and then you pop the lid open, grab the red handle, pull. This is the bare minimum. Pop this open. Pressure bandage, gloves, wound packing gauze, rolled gauze, medical tape, chest seals, and a burn tech dressing in the back. And then down here in the bottom, got more boo-boo oriented stuff. So if you need one kit to rule them all, whether Susie falls off of her bike or you get in a motor vehicle accident, this has got your your wipes, you know, BZK wipes and burn gels and triple antibiotic and all that. Your Band-Aids, different types of Band-Aids, and then a gauze pack, 2x2s, 4x4s, 5x9s, as well as an assortment of steri strips for wound closure in the bare minimum. Very affordable. Made in the United States, guaranteed forever. And they work. And I want to point that out over and over again because there's a lot of options on the market. They work. 73 lives have been saved to date with our kits. So if you've been on the fence about whether or not you need to get a trauma first aid kit, if you can't see the way the world is headed and acknowledge that whether you like it or not, you may need one of these things, please take a moment to think about it, pray about it. I want to equip and empower every one of y'all that you don't have to go through the tragic loss of life, unnecessary tragic loss of life. That's why I developed this. This is the SLICK kit. SLICK is just a ridiculous acronym that I came up with. Sexy Legs and Khakis kit. This fits in your dad's shorts. I wanted a kit that fit in my dad's shorts so that I could carry it around. And it doesn't look like I have a blowout kit on me, a first aid kit, but I do. I've got one. I couple that with the soft tee in my pocket. Now I got a tourniquet, chest seals, a pressure bandage, wound packing gauze, and gloves. So this gets me massive bleeding, airway, respiratory right here. And these are very reasonably priced. So please, 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 if you don't have a good first aid kit, please prayerfully consider getting one. If you don't know how to use it, please come to class. refugetraining.com. If you are an alumni of Refuge Training, you've already been to class and you'd like to come again, or you'd like to send your husband or your wife or your best friend or somebody from your mutual assistance group, please email us. We have an alumni promo code that you can use that gets you a substantial percentage off so that you can come back to class for continued learning. If you've been to Responder 1 and you now want to come to Responder 2 or Responder 3, we have a promo code for that. So email sales@refugetraining, please, and they'll hook you up. If you haven't been to class, we have classes right now in Boise, Idaho, in Tell City, Indiana, and in Pocola, Oklahoma, which is near Fort Smith, Arkansas. I can tell you that most of our classes going forward will very likely be held in the Pocola, Oklahoma area. A few times per year we will go on the road again, but because of the private class workload that we have, our public classes will be held in Pocola, Oklahoma, which is 4 hours from Dallas International Airport, 2 hours from Fayetteville, Arkansas International Airport, 3 hours from Tulsa, Oklahoma International Airport. And there are every hotel and restaurant you could want in Fort Smith. So there's lodging, there's food, and you can come out to rural eastern Oklahoma and learn the fine art of how to not die, how to save somebody's life. Because it's one thing to have the kit, it's another thing to know how to use the kit. We do RT, we do refuge training because we are passionate about teaching people how to do this stuff. RT is not a money-making venture, just so we're all on the same page. There is an exorbitantly high overhead to running a training division. Ask me how I know. And on several occasions, mathematically, we should have shut that division down. But we've doubled down into RT, into refuge training, over and over and over again, because I think it's damn near criminally negligent for me to sell first aid kits and not have a way to teach you how to use them. So please come to class. If you can't come to class, you cannot travel. On this channel, on YouTube, Bear Independent, go to the playlist, Trauma Medicine Series. There is a free 8-part trauma medicine series here on YouTube, where I teach you how to apply tourniquets, how to wound pack, how to apply chest seals, what a closed pneumothorax, open pneumothorax, simple pneumothorax, tension pneumothorax are, and what the signs and symptoms are for those and how to treat them. Head injuries, hypothermia, lethal triad, all that stuff. I teach you all that stuff in that video. Now, that's information, not instruction, because I can't see you do it. In class, I can see you do it and correct you in the moment. So if you can come to class, please come to class. If you cannot, at least watch the trauma medicine playlist. Those are public videos. They can be shared to your law enforcement officers, to your firefighters, to your EMS, to your school principal, to your teachers, to your pastors and youth pastors, to your friends in your mutual assistance group, to people that you love and care about. Please go watch that series. Last but not least, Grindstone Ministries. If you would like to help us in our ongoing mission to rescue and restore juvenile human trafficking survivors, you can visit grindstoneministries.com. Sign up for the email blast, hit the newsletter, and hit the donate button. It helps us from a budgeting standpoint if you're capable and convicted to donate on a monthly level, recurring monthly giving. That helps us a lot because we can budget with that. We have 24 kiddos ages 1 to 19 in our care currently, and we are constantly being approached to go and rescue more. If you'd like to help us with that, if you'd like to help us build our restoration facility, Caleb House, you can click the donate button. You can get the Caleb House swag, t-shirts, long sleeves, and hoodies. Our brother Saw's shirt, Facts Not Feelings shirt, and our brother Rex's shirt, all of which are provided by Sanctified Supply Co. that also tithe to Grindstone. The links are in the description. I couldn't do this without you, and I appreciate you deeply. And that's why I don't want you to die. I don't want you to go through this unnecessary heartache and struggle and strife and guilt. I want you to be prepared. And preparedness is not just buying shit and putting it on a shelf. It's knowing how to use it. The world is going to get weirder, y'all, and I don't want it to get weirder for you. I want you to be disassociated from this broken, fragile system. I'm trying to mitigate pain for you. And I hope you hear me. Because I'll tell you, there's days I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk at this rectangle. This morning was one of those days. But my Father has not disallowed me from talking to this rectangle yet. So I'm trying to give you the information that you need to navigate the uncertain times that are coming ahead. I'm trying to provide that value to you, and I'm trying to do it in a way that is not fear-mongering and doomer porn. Trying to save you heartache in whatever form that might come in. I hope that you hear me. And I hope that you appreciate it. Because I don't know how long this thing's going to last. I appreciate y'all. Have a blessed day. Shalom.